Welcome back to my channel Celebuzz. Please share and subscribe and press the bell icon for new updates. Sylvester Stallone's name makes you think of tough guys like Rocky and Rambo. But here's something most people don't know about the action star. Behind all that muscle and movie magic, Stallone has some serious grudges. We're talking about real beef with other Hollywood big shots. Some of these fights go way deeper than just regular competition. So why would a guy who seems so tough carry around all this anger? Let's dig into the real story behind Stallone's Hollywood feuds. Stallone was born on July 6, 1946 in Hell's Kitchen, New York. His mom Jackie was into astrology and even promoted women's wrestling. His dad Frank was an Italian immigrant who worked as a barber, but Stallone's birth wasn't easy. Doctors had to use forceps to help deliver him. This messed up the left side of his face, affecting his lip and chin. That's actually how he got that famous snarling look and slurred speech. Kids used to pick on him because of how he looked and talked, so he threw himself into bodybuilding and started dreaming about acting a guidance counselor. Once told his mom he should just be an electrician, but Stallone had bigger dreams. He wanted to write movies and be an actor. When he was 5, he went into foster care for a while. Later, after his parents split up, he moved to Philadelphia with his mom. Those early years were really rough for the future movie star. He took tiny parts in films and did whatever jobs he could find. At one point, he was so broke and homeless that he did an adult film in 1970. It was called The Party at Kitty and Studs, and he was desperate for money. Then came his big break when he wrote the script for Rocky. It was the story of an underdog boxer who gets a shot at the title. Stallone insisted that he had to play the main character himself. The movie became huge, and suddenly, everyone knew who Sylvester Stallone was. He got nominated for Academy Awards for both acting and writing. Rocky won 3 Oscars, including Best Picture. This one movie changed everything for Stallone and made him a household name. After Rocky hit it big, Stallone kept the momentum going strong. In 1978, he directed his first movie called Paradise Alley. It was about 3 brothers getting into professional wrestling. That same year, he made another film called Feuds. In that one, he played a warehouse worker who becomes a union leader. Then in 1979, he went back to Rocky with the sequel Rocky So. He wrote it, directed it, and starred in it again. The movie made $200 million around the world, but Stallone's biggest character after Rocky was John Rambo First Blood, came out in 1982 and started the whole Rambo series. Critics said Stallone made the character more human than in the original book. He also did other movies like Escape to Victory with Michael Caine and Nighthawks, where he played a cop chasing down a terrorist for Rocky III in 1982. Stallone got in incredible shape. He trained so hard that his body fat dropped to just 2.8%. Not every movie was a winner, though. Staying Alive in 1983 was supposed to be a Saturday Night Fever sequel. Critics hated it, but Stallone kept making hits. Rocky IV and Rambo First Blood Part 2. Both came out in 1985. During this time, he also had a famous rivalry with Arnold Schwarzenegger. Both action stars were fighting to be the #1 tough guy in Hollywood throughout the 80s and 90s. Stallone kept making action movies. There was Cobra in 1986, Tango and Cash in 1989, and Cliffhanger in 1993. Some bombed like Stop or My Mom Will Shoot in 1992, but others like Demolition Man in 1993 did really well at the box office. Stallone proved he could stay popular even when some movies flopped. Then came the rough years in the late 90s and early 2000s. Stallone's career hit a major speed bump during this time. In 2000, he starred in Get Carter, a remake of an old British movie. Critics tore it apart, and audiences stayed away from theaters. This started a really tough period for the former action king. His next few movies were all disasters. Driven in 2001 had him playing a race car driver, but nobody cared. Avenging Angelo and Detox both came out in 2002 and flopped hard. Even with Stallone's name on the poster, people just weren't interested anymore. The action movie world was changing and leaving him behind. Hollywood was moving towards smarter, less predictable action films. Stallone's old-school style of tough guy movies felt outdated. Younger stars and new franchises were taking over the box office. It looked like maybe Stallone's time as a leading man was over, but he wasn't ready to give up just yet. Eventually, Stallone would make comebacks with new Rocky and Rambo movies, but those years from 2000 to 2005 were some of the hardest of his career. It showed how difficult it can be for aging action stars to stay relevant. The movie business moves fast and doesn't wait for anyone. Stallone's personal life has been just as dramatic as his movies. He's been married 3 times and has 5 kids total. His first wife was Sasha Jack, who he married in 1974. They had 2 sons together, Sage and Sergio. Tragically, Sage died in 2012 when he was only 36 years old from heart disease. Sergio was diagnosed with autism, which brought its own challenges. Stallone and Sasha divorced in 1985, after more than 10 years together. Later that same year, he married model and actress Brigitte Nielsen. Their marriage only lasted 2 years, but got tons of media attention. The tabloids loved covering their relationship and messy breakup after they split. Stallone started dating model Jennifer Flavin in 1988. Things got complicated in 1994 when Stallone thought he might have gotten model Janice Dickinson pregnant. He broke up with Jennifer to potentially be with Janice. But DNA tests proved he wasn't the father. So he went back to Jennifer Stallone, and Jennifer finally got married in May 1997. They've had 3 daughters together, Sophia, Sistine, and Scarlett. The girls even got to be Golden Globe ambassadors in 2017. It was a big honor that put the whole Stallone family in the spotlight. But in 2022, after 25 years of marriage, Jennifer filed for divorce. Everyone was shocked since they seemed so happy together. Luckily, they worked things out and got back together. Just a month later, family has always been super important to Stallone. His brother, Frank, is a musician who worked on soundtracks for Stallone's movies. Frank wrote music for Rambo and other films. His song Far From Over from Staying Alive was a top 10 hit in 1983. Frank also appeared in small roles in many of Stallone's movies. Stallone also had a half-sister named Toni Ann Filiti. She died of lung cancer in 2012 when she was 48 years old. Stallone was really close to her, and her death hit him hard. He also had some close friendships in Hollywood that didn't end well. Actor Joe Spinell worked with Stallone, but they had a falling out during Nighthawk. Stallone is famous for doing his own stunts in movies. This has led to some pretty serious injuries over the years. During Escape to Victory, he broke his finger trying to block a soccer kick for Rocky IV. He told co-star Dolph Lundgren to punch him as hard as possible. This was a terrible idea that landed Stallone in the hospital for 4 days. The worst injury happened during The Expendables. When he broke his neck, he had to get surgery and have a metal plate put in to fix the damage. It was scary, but shows just how far Stallone will go for his movies. Despite all these injuries, he never stopped doing his own action scenes. His commitment to realism has made his movies more exciting but cost him physically. Stallone has also had his share of legal troubles over the years. In 2001, a woman named Margie Carr sued him for rape. She claimed the incident happened at a gym in Santa Monica. Stallone's lawyers denied everything and said she sold her story to tabloids first. The case never went anywhere and eventually disappeared. 2007. Australian Customs found illegal growth hormones in Stallone's luggage. He pleaded guilty to drug possession charges. The incident made headlines, but he avoided serious punishment. Then in 2013, there were claims about a settlement with his half-sister. Some people said he paid her $2 million in 1987 to avoid abuse allegations in 2016. Police investigated claims that Stallone sexually assaulted a teenager in Las Vegas back in 1986. The woman said she was 16 when it happened during a movie shoot. Stallone's representatives denied everything. His ex-wife Brigitte Nielsen even defended him, saying she was there with him. Another woman came forward in 2017 with similar accusations. She claimed Stallone assaulted her at his Santa Monica office in the early 90s. Again, Stallone's team denied the charges completely. They said the woman was lying and had witnesses to prove it. In 2018, the Los Angeles District Attorney decided not to press charges. There just wasn't enough evidence to support the accusations. Stallone was raised Catholic, but drifted away from church as a young actor. Hollywood life took over and religion became less important to him. But when one of his daughters was born sick in 1996, everything changed. This crisis brought him back to his faith in a big way. By 2006, he was talking openly about his spiritual journey in an interview with Pat Robertson. Stallone admitted he had lost his way. He said Hollywood had too many temptations, and he needed God's guidance. But his faith isn't traditional. He doesn't go to regular church services. In 2010, he told GQ magazine that he's spiritual, but not tied to organized religion. He believes in the human spirit and finds wisdom in religious teaching. Stallone's political views have changed over the years. He supported both Republican and Democratic politicians. In 1994, he gave money to Republican Rick Santorum's Senate campaign. He endorsed John McCain for president in 2008. But he's also donated to Democrats like Joe Biden and Chris Dodd. One thing that surprises people is Stallone's support for gun control. Even though he's famous for action movies with lots of shooting, he's actually one of Hollywood's most anti-gun celebrities. In 2016, he didn't publicly support Donald Trump or any Republican candidate, though he did call Trump a larger-than-life character. After his son Sage died, Stallone participated in a Hindu ritual in India. He went to Haridwar to perform ceremonies for people who die tragically. In 2023, he donated money to independent Senator Kyrsten Sinema in Arizona. He and his family also got a private meeting with Pope Francis at the Vatican after Trump won in 2024. Stallone praised him at an event at Mar-a-Lago. Now let's talk about the 5 actors Stallone couldn't stand. First up is Richard Gere, and their feud goes way back to the 1970s. They were both working on a movie called The Lords of Flatbush. According to the story, Gere accidentally got mustard on Stallone's pants. Stallone got so mad that he elbowed Gere in the head. Then he physically threw Gere out of the car they were filming in. The director had to make a choice between keeping Stallone or Gere in the end. They fired Gere and kept Stallone in the movie, but their bad blood didn't end there. Years later at an Elton John party, they almost got in another fight. Stallone got jealous seeing Gere talking to Princess Diana. He confronted Gere and things almost got physical again. Bruce Willis is another actor who got on Stallone's bad side. This happened during the making of The Expendables. Willis wanted $4 million to work for just 4 days on the movie. That worked out to $1 million per day, which seemed crazy to everyone. Stallone and the producers refused to pay that much. They ended up firing Willis and hiring Harrison Ford. Instead, Stallone called Willis greedy and lazy in interviews. He said that kind of attitude was a sure way to kill your career. The whole situation showed how money can ruin Hollywood friendships. Both actors kept working, but their relationship was over. Eddie Murphy and Stallone used to be really close friends in the late 1980s, but everything changed during the filming of Beverly Hills Cop 2 in 1987. Stallone's wife Brigitte Nielsen had a role in the movie. Rumors started flying that Murphy and Nielsen were having an affair. Stallone confronted Murphy directly about sleeping with his wife. Murphy denied everything. In a 1989 Rolling Stone interview, he said Stallone called him up and accused him of cheating. Murphy told him straight up that he didn't do it. He said Nielsen wasn't even his type and he'd never mess with a friend's wife. But despite his denials, Stallone didn't believe him. The whole situation destroyed their friendship permanently. Murphy said they had been really tight before the Nielsen drama, but after that, their friendship was completely over. Both actors went on to have successful careers, but never spoke again. It shows how quickly Hollywood friendships can fall apart over rumors. Kirk Douglas caused problems during the filming of First Blood. He was supposed to play Colonel Trautman. Rambo's mentor Douglas had initially loved the script, but changed his mind on set. He wanted to rewrite the entire ending to have Rambo die. He also wanted to change all of his own dialogue. Douglas kept referring to himself in the third person on set. He'd say things like, "Kirk doesn't say these lines." The director and producers tried to work with him. They stayed up late rewriting scenes to make Douglas happy, but nothing they did satisfied the legendary actor. Finally, the director had enough and confronted Douglas. He told him they were filming the script he had originally approved. Douglas could either act in that script or leave the production. Douglas chose to leave, saying, "Kirk's leaving." They quickly hired Richard Crenna to replace him. Crenna showed up the next day and memorized his lines during the drive to set. His performance as Colonel Trautman became one of his most famous roles. The movie was a huge success and launched the entire Rambo franchise. Stallone later said if they'd used Douglas's version, Rambo might have flopped. Sometimes the best thing is to stick with your original vision. Arnold Schwarzenegger was Stallone's biggest rival during the 1980s and 90s. Both actors were competing to be Hollywood's top action hero. They tried to outdo each other with bigger muscles and crazier stunts. This rivalry led to one of the most famous pranks in Hollywood history, and it resulted in one of Stallone's most embarrassing movies. In 1992, Stallone starred in Stop, or My Mom Will Shoot. The movie was terrible and is considered one of his worst films. For years, people wondered how Stallone ended up in such a bad movie. Then the truth came out about Schwarzenegger's involvement. Arnold had pretended to be interested in the script. Schwarzenegger knew that Stallone was so competitive, if Arnold wanted a role, Stallone would try to steal it from him, so Arnold faked interest in the terrible script. Sure enough, Stallone took the bait and signed up for the movie years later. Arnold admitted the whole thing was a setup. Stallone eventually admitted that Arnold had tricked him completely. He said Arnold was always the smarter one when it came to business. The movie bombed at the box office and hurt Stallone's reputation. But over time, the two rivals actually became friends. They ended up working together on movies like The Expendables. Their transformation from bitter enemies to buddies is pretty amazing. It shows how Hollywood relationships can change over time. Both actors learned to respect each other's talents and success. Now they're known more for their friendship than their old rivalry. Sometimes the best way to beat your enemy is to make them your friend. Stallone's feuds with these 5 actors show the competitive side of Hollywood. Behind all the glamour and red carpets, there's real drama and conflict. These weren't just publicity stunts or fake controversies. These were real disagreements that affected careers and friendships. Some of these feuds lasted for decades and changed how movies got made, from mustard-stained pants to broken necks to million-dollar demands. Stallone's conflicts with other actors created some of Hollywood's best stories. Some relationships were repaired over time while others stayed broken forever. But through it all, Stallone kept making movies and entertaining audiences. His feuds became part of his legend and added to his tough guy image today. Stallone is in his late 70s but still making movies. He's learned to pick his battles and focus on his family and career. The angry young actor has mellowed into a Hollywood elder statesman, but those old feuds remind us that even movie stars are human. They get jealous, hold grudges, and sometimes let emotions get the better of them. Stallone's story shows that success in Hollywood isn't just about talent. It's also about navigating relationships and managing your reputation. The actors who last the longest learn how to turn enemies into allies, and sometimes the best stories come from the battles behind the scenes. That's what makes Hollywood so fascinating. The drama never really ends.